Hello everyone, welcome back to Insarkari. So taking up next set of important topics. So first of all, we're talking about one of the four pillars of democracy, that is parliament or the legislature. So here we see that the functioning of parliament is being talked about. Smooth functioning or the constructive functioning of parliament is crucial for again the good governance aspect or to fulfill the aspirations mentioned in the Constitution of India to uphold the constitutional morality and the spirit. So it is one of the important pillars of democracy. That is why smooth functioning is important. So certain keywords like in the context of the disruptions. So functioning of parliament is not merely dependent upon how again the incumbent government allows it to function. It is equally determined by the cooperation and the coordination from the opposition also. And also to have that basic can say understanding that disruption is not going to give us the results even if there is a kind of opposition in terms of the ideas or there are certain challenges, so the way of putting up needs to be again somewhere reformed on the part of the opposition. So in a way, like for example, we have seen the disruptions in the form of unruly behavior, constant high decibel sloganeering, overall tone of acrimony, and bitterness. So this is violated again in a way the procedural decorum, and as I stated that, hence it is important, being one of the four pillars of democracy, that constitutional morality needs to be upheld. So, collective, coordinated working between the government, incumbent government, and the opposition is very crucial. So, it is the functioning of parliament is an indicator, it is kind of a litmus test for the strength of democracy, also. So, it's a beacon of democratic resilience and also showcases pluralism and the image in the stature at the global stage as well. So we need to uphold the principles of consensual politics too. In case of, again, like drug trafficking or the counterfeit currency, here we see that these are one of the two challenges to internal security. So, challenge further is how the illegal trade is evolving with time, with technology, or again coming up with different innovative ways of illegal smuggling. For example, when we were talking about the relations with the Caribbean countries or with Africa, so this needs to be again one of the priority areas because we see that it is being illegally transported from countries like Guinea or Dubai. So even in case of like when we talk about India lies in the transit zone between the death crescent and the death triangle. So that makes situation little more vulnerable, so that is why it needs to be again a priority. What else can be done by the directorate of revenue intelligence or by the customs department or even by the coast guard? So there needs to be an integrated approach, or in terms of even the port led development that we talk about. So we again need data collection here in terms of identifying the evolving trend in identification of the major routes that have of late been again identified as certain kind of major hotspots for such illegal acts. So we need to map these key geographic routes and again take this up as again in a priority in the bilateral talks, or as we talk about holding of more of like diplomatic summits with the respective countries in Africa or even in the Caribbean region. And we also have again the NDPS Act, particularly in case of dealing with the drug trade or plugging it. Now, how artificial intelligence is coming to the aid of good governance and minimum government, maximum governance vision of the government, particularly again in case of dealing with or curbing these mule bank accounts where people are being again particularly from the lower income groups or who possess low technical literacy are being targeted by the cyber fraudsters or the cyber criminals. So Department of Financial Services again, Financial Intelligence Unit, IC4, which is Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, even NABARD for again particularly awareness of the farmers or the people residing in the rural areas, how we are collaborating all these different institutional stakeholders in case of again particularly for the bank accounts thing we need again RBI support also and its role. So leveraging this cutting edge technology based tools like artificial intelligence to foster more of interbank collaboration to address this challenge. Also, we can take this up as again a reformatory step under the Basel norms too. So Basel norms 3 is currently being followed, currently being implemented. So we need again, this tweak is also needed as far as the regulation of banks and to uphold the integrity of the financial ecosystem or the network is also crucial. Now, death by water. Water, good quality water, potable water is a basic amenity, again, connected with the right to dignified life under Article 21, part of SDG 6, right to again clean drinking water related to health and hygiene. So, safety of piped water. Government has the vision or the target of providing universal access to the potable water. So here it is connected with the the smart cities that we are creating, urban centers which are being created. They are again the major hotspots where we are seeing contaminated water problem. So is it actually that's how smart are we making or developing our cities is the question. It is leading to spread of diseases like diarrhea, which is directly impacting the quality of life, bad hygiene. So water treatment plants, retreatment plants, their functioning, quality of functioning, their assessment, social audits become more important. Specifically, the issue is coming up in cities like Bengaluru, Kochi, Noida, and Vizianagaram. So, drainage infrastructure should be at the core of, again, the municipalities or even the Panchayati Raj institutions. So, we have a dedicated Jal Shakti ministry too. World Health Organization also states that 1.7 billion people globally used a drinking water source contaminated with feces. So it will definitely lead to spread of diseases polluted with heavy metals like arsenic, fluoride, which is further depleting the quality of life, to directly hampering the development that we want, not just merely the growth that we are aspiring to have. Is it again at the core of the 10-year vision, or do we actually have the vision document at the grassroots level? So challenges, in short, water quality issues, infrastructural gaps, and depleting water resources. Government's vision and strategy is to provide universal access to potable water. Quality control should be there in terms of monitoring, community engagement, involvement of local bodies, NGO, women groups, technological integration with AI, real time monitoring of water supply and quality, and sustainability measures needs to be encouraged. For example, rainwater harvesting. We have seen that the modular rainwater harvesting pits being constructed in Delhi. So that can be one of the Delhi's model. Watershed management should be again promoted and encouraged. Aquifer recharge to address water scarcity issue at the same time. So certain key initiatives have been taken up by the government in this regard. Jal Jeevan Mission launched in 2019. Goal is again to provide functional household tap connections to every rural household by 2024. So it is targeting rural households, needs to be widened to the urban households too, because it is not just merely the availability of water, but quality too matters. Then National Water Policy 2012. There's a need to update this document as well, because safe drinking water is a basic human right, needs to be a priority. Amrit Mission 2.0 is there, focusing upon circular economy, reusing the grey water. Swachh Bharat Mission has been focusing upon the health and hygiene. We have the WASH initiative, which is water related to sanitation and hygiene. WASH scheme, Har Ghar Nal Se Jal scheme is there. So ensuring that there is integrated water resource management with again combined efforts across agriculture, industry, and urban planning. Public private partnerships can be promoted to have the water infrastructure and the technology coming into place. Behavioral change campaigns also play important role in to promote water conservation practices, and enhanced monitoring systems will be playing crucial role. Gamify India's skilling initiatives. So here we see that unemployment is one of the major challenges. As per the recent economic survey data that we have, India needs to create at least 78.5 lakh of new jobs in the non-farm sector per annum until 2030. This is to meet the demands of the rising workforce. But the major challenge is the gap between the skill sets of the job seekers and the skill requirements of the industry. So, exactly targeting this, we have the new education policy 2020. So, even our economic advisor, V. Anant Nageswaram sir, states that only 51% of India's graduates are employable. So, are we really headed towards, or are we already into this trap of jobless growth? And also, will lead to the problem of middle income trap at the same time. So there is a need to equip the workforce with the skills, the knowledge to meet the requirements of Industrial Revolution 4.0 as well. We need to promote more of simulation based learning, which is providing more immersive experience. We need to learn from the experience, the models of Singapore and Germany, who have adopted such simulation based learning methodologies, outcome based methodologies in education sector, vocational skills training. Even in India, we have certain initiatives like Samarth initiative, Udyog Bharat 4.0 initiative in this direction. Role of MSMEs is very important in terms of again training the workforce. So we have that opportunity of demographic dividend, but we need to leverage that. That will come from plugging this gap of skills mismatch. And then we have the Swayam portal, which is the Skill India Digital Hub, also apart from this. So these are two online platforms that we have for skilling education. We have open learning, we have MOOCs is there. So they are offering 4,000 courses. So challenges, we can say three challenges majorly: mismatch between training and industrial needs. So we have National Education Policy 2020. Informal sector is there because 90% of India's workforce is informal, and regional disparities. So these are three main challenges. What we need to do, need to strengthen industry academia linkages to align with the demand of the markets, promote regional skilling hubs like we have Atal Innovation Mission. Then we need to integrate the skilling with the emerging sectors. Like in this case, if we are talking about Make in India or recently emerging sectors like renewable energy, artificial intelligence, and robotics. So the skills that we are emphasizing upon needs to be in alignment with the recently emerging sectors or the growing sectors. Fourthly, you need to enhance the partnerships with the private players for funding and the expertise aspect also. So again, government has taken some other initiatives like Skill India Mission. Under this, we have the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, and then we have the recognition of prior learning also. Certificates, existing skills of the workers are being provided. This is again targeting the informal sector. Then we have National Skill Development Corporation is there. This is an example of the PPP partnership, and skill loan schemes are also there, providing you the loans for again the skilling aspect. Atmanirbhar Bharat Rozgar Yojana, which is again aligned with the emerging job market needs, and Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushalya Yojana is there. So it is focusing on three main sectors of healthcare, retail, and hospitality. Now, Supreme Court judge states that civilian army of experts also needed to protect the nation's interest. So we talk about again, like we have the military, we have the defense forces. So if it is again, civilian army is important as a part of an aware citizenry group, again military in dress, but also civilian army of experts in terms of, like for example, the field of law, for maintaining law and order, for taking rational decisions, or being a rational citizen to uphold the fundamental duties and the fundamental rights equally at the same time on the part of the administration. So and that is one of the element. And again, military elements, certain skills which again civilian army can learn from the defense forces, or that we desire to have in the civilian population, is like discipline and strategic thinking can be included. Critical thinking needs to be a part of your daily decision making behavior of again a normal citizen or common person, because it will strengthen the national resilience, will promote more civic responsibility, and would be a well rounded approach, or the wholesome or comprehensive approach to governance at the same time. So, in a way, this would be a bottom up approach, and this will help in again crisis management. For example, if there's a natural disaster, so the response or how that thing is dealt with also depends upon the people who are affected at that point of time. So it is going to play important role in nation building, be it again engaging with community services infrastructure, or of late we've been talking about the rising financial frauds. So aware citizens, a civilian army, is the need of the hour. A role of philanthropy in again talking about the sustainable development or citizen centric governance. So, philanthropy, it aligns deeply with the spirit of civic responsibility, societal well being, that again the fundamental duties aim to promote at the same time. For example, compassion, civic engagement, or promotion of harmony. So even Mahatma Gandhi ji, he emphasized that trusteeship model, where wealth act as a custodians of the wealth for societal benefit, is important. Even different religions and cultural traditions exist in India, which in a way promotes philanthropy as a moral duty. Like in case of Hinduism, Buddhism, it is stated as daan. Ab daan kar rahe ho, daan de rahe ho. So it promotes social equality, promotes social justice, fosters civic responsibility, strengthens the community bond at the same time. Challenges again, it is voluntary in nature. So the dilemma of voluntary versus obligation, how responsibly you understand, and also because of the challenge of income and wealth inequality, this is also a challenge that only a few, or how much can you contribute, is also one thing that we can state, and its implementation. Now, importance of the preservation of the local heritage, because protecting these structures is going to ensure firstly the continuation of the unique identity, their own significance, will promote more cultural pride and contribute to the economic, environmental, and overall social well-being. So this is a case study. The pictures from Delhi clearly showcases the state of these monuments. For example, the Lodi tombs located in the urban maze, or we have one from the Lodi dynasty's rule again, the Panch Burja. Five tombs are there in the dilapidated state. So we have the National Mission on Monuments and Antiquities at the same time. So challenges, what are the challenges? When we're talking about again smart cities creation or rapid urbanization, so their preservation is also an important element. Encroachment is a challenge, as you can see that the poor, the vulnerable sections of society have made them as their home in a way. Lack of funding is a challenge for the restoration and maintenance. Environmental threats, for example, because of climate change or natural disasters, there are irreversible damages being caused. Vandalism and neglect in terms of promoting more of responsible tourism, and then administrative gaps in terms of like there are overlapping jurisdictions, so there's this element of ambiguity which exists. So here we say that institutional efforts being taken up by, for example, Archaeological Survey of India makes play important role in terms of. Then we have the Hriday Yojana, which is the National Heritage City Development Augmentation Yojana, and we have Adopt a Heritage scheme at the same time. And INTAC's role, which is the Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage. So, way forward for the preservation is community involvement is important, public awareness, encourage citizen participation, technological integration using 3D mapping or artificial intelligence, and then drones for the documentation restoration, sustainable tourism, capacity building like training the artisans, architects, and administrators in the conservation techniques, and policy reforms for better coordination amongst the agencies is needed. But overall, it is again, be it the administration or the citizens, we need to understand the importance of their preservation and conservation firstly. So there needs to be that will to preserve them.
Also, we can also use creative solutions like storytelling, through which we can create awareness about these local monuments, and so that the local communities can be motivated to save them.
Then a model from Kerala for palliative care, coming from again the grassroots level, the village panchayat. So, in this palliative care, what is palliative care? It is improving the quality of life for the individuals who are again facing some serious or chronic or life threatening illnesses. So, even WHO, it is emphasizing upon palliative care. It's an integral part of the universal health coverage also. And again, an important SDG goal number three, which is good health and well being. So, in this case, we are seeing what are the important pillars or the characteristics of this model. Firstly, is it is citizen-centric driven. Patients' doorstep delivery is being ensured and availability. So the three pillars, availability, accessibility, and affordability are being catered through this model. Then we have training aspect, skilling aspect of the palliative care nurses who are paid monthly. So again, to ensure that this model functions in a smoother manner is it dependent upon the availability of finance. So in this case, we see, for example, the panchayat is ensuring the fund availability, where the trained palliative care nurses, they are also coming forward again in a more energetic way, more qualitative way. The field workers, the ASHA workers, who are playing the important role of identification of the patients. So again, the availability of the data is important in order to plan the things accordingly. So that has been done in Kerala. And then we have again community participation also. For example, NGOs are also participating in terms of providing the free palliative care and the pain relief aspects. So there is a proper dedicated policy for the same, which ensures that there is a vision that needs to be fulfilled. How that would be fulfilled, so there's a scientific way of doing it. So there is complete unanimity also between the panchayat or even the people who are participating in this. So we say that again, an amendment to the NDPS Act has also been done in the same regard to simplify the access to the opioids for the pain relief. So patient-centered approach is what we are seeing in this model. So it needs to be again replicated across different panchayats, different states, depending upon how the demography is changing, because we expect 20% of the population by 2050 is going to be of the elderly people. So an important pillar for the geriatric care also, how that can be implemented at grassroots level. Now, International Corruption Day celebrated every year on 9th of December. So, for example, this is one model being talked in the context of the state of Haryana, because again we see that digitization or use of e-technology is one of the models to be learned from Haryana. So how that has helped in curbing the pollution, oh sorry, the corruption. So why it is important to firstly deal with this, because corruption is undermining the democracy, the spirit of democracy, or it stifles the economic growth, also eroding the public trust in the governance model. So effective measures has been taken up to uphold accountability, transparency, and ethical governance through the technology. That is one way of doing it. Online Saral portal is there. Then proactive data, as we say, data is the new oil. So that has ensured in again ensuring that right beneficiaries are getting the benefits through direct benefit transfer. There is this notion which is there, or the perception that is there amongst the common people, that बिना खर्ची बिना पर्ची आप काम कैसे हो सकता है. तो amongst the youth also, when we provide more job opportunities, more employment, so it will naturally break this thinking or ideology amongst the people. Atal Seva Kendras have been opened up, so again to target the right beneficiaries, to again minimize the error of double counting or the bogus beneficiaries. In terms of criminal justice system or the speedy justice delivery, that has also played important. So these are different pillars. We can talk about the measures that have been taken up. So apart from this, what acts and laws we have, particularly in anti-corruption. So Prevention of Corruption Act is there. It criminalizes bribery and abuse of official power. We have Lokpal Act, Lokayuktas Act 2013. So under this, we have an independent body to investigate the corruption in public offices. So everyone is again equal in terms of the Lokpal or the Lokayukta Act. We have Whistleblowers Protection Act 2014 and the Benami Transactions Prohibition Act of 1988. So we have again the institutional mechanisms in synergy with these acts and the targets that we have. Like we have CVC, Central Vigilance Commission is there in terms of supervising the things, and we have then CBI is there to detect, prevent, and punish the corruption. So more of transparency is being promoted. One is through the technology, secondly through the Right to Information Act, and which again empowering the citizens is also one of the way of dealing with corruption. So this again showcases a move towards good governance, towards citizen-centric governance model, which is again fueling economic growth, the trust, and the ethical way of growing. We've been talking about the challenges in Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria, the West Asia. So our external affairs minister says, what has been India's standard? How does India looks at the current situation? So he says, firstly, we need to be, or we have to be, and India is realistic about the competing interest in the region. The challenges of the day, like the collectively or the day-to-day challenges, are effectively being identified and dealt with. The role of again the embassies become important. So we can look at why stability in West Asia is important for India. So first is energy security. Even if like Syria is not an important or major energy supplier to India, but stability is important because it directly it is related to the price of the crude oil. or the smooth functioning of the supply chain. Second is counterterrorism and security concerns. So, from this perspective, for example, terrorist organizations like ISIS, that needs to be again controlled or regulated, or it needs to be stopped because it would be posing a threat to the global security. So, combating extremism aligns with the efforts to stabilize the region. Then we have the strategic and the geopolitical interests of India and other countries. Like India has the West Asia policy. So, stability in Syria is aligned with India's policy of maintaining strong relations with other players also, like even like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Israel. And Russia Iran connection is also there. So, it is being stated that India is the only country who can, again, in a way, we are in a situation, or we have that place that we can talk to both these countries at the same time. So connectivity and trade is important. Diaspora humanitarian concerns exist. Support for multilateralism is dependent upon the stability. Apart from this, we have the anti-drone unit for the safe border. So a dedicated unit has been constituted particularly for the border security. So that's one change. And these would be laser equipped anti-drone gun mounts would be there. Ministry of Defense, DRDO, important role. Comprehensive integrated border management system approach is being showcased by this, depending upon the recently emerging and evolving challenges. So it showcases the quickness or in the changes, administrative changes which are needed in terms of dealing with these challenges, which is also again somewhere related to the flexibility that Indian democracy provides. So here we can just have a look at the map, the important regions in news, particularly related to Syria. So Raqqa is there, Idlib, Hama is there in news, Damascus, Dara region, and Al Tanf, so US military base. So map becomes very important. So this northern region is known as the buffer zone between again Syria and Turkey. So recently even Israel has stated that you need to capture this buffer region which exists. And here towards the southwest region, we have the Golan Heights. So this is Lebanon, this is the Israel. Here we have Jordan, north we have Turkey. This is Iraq. We need to be aware about again the bordering countries. A new oil fields bill has been presented, which is again about कि कैसे हम oil fields को explore करेंगे, extract करेंगे, how they would be allocated, like e-auctions हो गया, what is going to be the procedure. So this is ultimately we are focusing upon the increasing the domestic production so that our imports reduces and the dependence upon the imports reduces in terms of providing the energy sources. So private investment is also being encouraged through this the bill and the changes which are there. So it gives power to the center to make rules and all of that. But here we say that it should be now this bill, if this is a recent bill, should be integrated with the carbon markets also mechanism that would be instituted. We should respect the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, because we need to ensure we are not hampering the marine ecosystem. And it needs to be in sync with India's vision of blue economy to promote sustainable economic growth, improve the lives of coastal communities, and protect the environment. So it needs to be a comprehensive and integrated document.
First of all, the Parliament leases, the oil field leases are under the 53 entry of the Union list. So it gives the power to the Parliament to regulate the overall development as well extraction of the mineral resources from the high sea. So under this bill, it is being alleged that the overall rights of the states, just like the mining rights that were criticized by the Supreme Court. This year, 9 judge bench they have discussed already with regard to the rights of the states with regard to the mining rights. Similarly, this bill, if it is giving certain distributive power to the state as well or not, it is under question. जैसे नहीं मिल रहा उनको, सिर्फ सेंटर कर ही सकते हैं.
And Chandigarh leads in enforcing the criminal laws. So this showcases, or this is an example of, again, good governance, which is aligned with the modern socio-economic realities. This also showcases, again, an effort towards decolonization, like also taking the timely measures to deal with the new age crimes like cybercrimes, terrorism, or economic offenses. And then from the perspective of protection of human rights, so overall, this is an approach towards restorative justice, which is again victim centric. So the again the particular, if we talk about the characteristics of this, so it is related to the police, forensics, and the judiciary. So these are, we can say, the trinity. The reforms are again focusing upon digitization of the courts is there, and time bound investigation. So in terms of, for example, the zero FIRs, they are being filed, particularly all the crimes related to the sexual offenses against women. So zero FIRs is a must. And also mandatory audio visual recordings of the crime scenes is again an important and mandatory step. So technology, the way of functioning is being reformed. So rammed up the internet speed, video conferencing facilities are available, infrastructure development is needed, and then DigiLocker services would be relied upon to store the digital evidence in order to ensure the data security. So these are the specific things which again we can keep in mind. Now, FDI flows and the forex reserves. So we very often we just talk about that foreign portfolio investment, which is FPIs. They are a volatile component, but recent trend shows that even FDI flows are turning out to be volatile. So that is one challenge which is adding up to the pressure on rupee being depreciated, and hence we are also, that is why in this regard we're talking about internationalization of rupee at the same time. Then forex reserve movements, what are the recent changes or the trends that we are seeing? For examples, in case of India, there's a different trend that has emerged in case of the relation between FDI or the capital flows basically and the relation with the forex reserves or the exchange rate, how that is changing. So there is again the direct relationship that if there's volatility, so exchange rate becomes or it comes under more pressure. But in case of India, it has not functioned in this manner because of again India's competitiveness in the trade of invisibles, which is the trade of services, where we have consistently maintained a surplus. So that's how we can say that our current account deficit has been able to stay in again a defined territory. Apart from this, we are also seeing in particularly services exports, the business and the financial services are also becoming more competitive. They are gaining more ground. For example, we have established Gift City. We are talking about having more and more global capability centers being developed in India. So that's how the services sector has helped us. And secondly, the private remittance transfer, the transfer payments has also aided in reducing the current account deficit in India. Now, another area that we can talk about is taking we can say a cautious approach in terms of capital account convertibility, because we see the, for example, Asian financial crisis of 1997 or the Argentina crisis of 2001, where full convertibility in the capital account in a way led to more of speculative attacks. There was like a sharp currency devaluation, and that's how the crisis situation emerged. So that is one concern, learning from the global experiences. Now, other areas of concerns related to full capital account convertibility includes risk to the financial instability. There would be sudden capital flight if there is again 100% of the convertibility in terms of capital account. Exchange rate can become more volatile. it can also impact our monetary policy. So there would be, in a way, we can say, more of external influences, volatility and vulnerability would be increasing. So that is why taking a gradual approach, even for example, in terms of particularly talking about the FDI sector reforms. So we are again doing or expanding, for example, if we're allowing 75% FDI or 100% FDI through automatic route. So it is depending upon case by case basis. So even the risk to domestic financial sector would be increasing, banking sector stability would be impacted, and in a way might lead to more of inequality and social impact. So over investment in unproductive sectors can also rise because of these speculative bubbles. And one important fact related to capital account, its components includes FDI, FPI, external commercial borrowings, and NRI deposits. The border security, so Myanmar border fencing gathers pace. So the border is characterized by porous terrain, dense forests are there, cross-border ethnic ties, and poses significant challenges related to. Recently, we have seen that insurgency, smuggling, human trafficking, and illegal migration. So here also, if we were talking about the anti-drone units, so integrated border management system using again technology-driven surveillance system, apart from again the like installation of border fencing. Apart from this, what else we can focus upon? CCTV cameras and radar systems. Community policing will be playing important role in terms of the participation by the local communities in case of like intelligence sharing or early warning systems. Also strengthening the customs and immigration checkpoints can be done, and real-time information exchange, ensuring sustainable border development. Like in case of Myanmar, we have withdrawn the free movement regime also, given the security threats.
So over the years, 20,000 crore will be spent in integrated border management system.
And also the states which are sharing border with Myanmar is Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram. I think Mizoram is not there. It is only up till Manipur.
मिजोरम है.
Yeah, Mizoram. Okay. Manipur and Mizoram. So medicine heals doubts as well as diseases. It is showcasing an approach of the practice of medicine, going beyond like merely physical treatment of the ailments, and addressing again the emotional, the psychological aspects of health. As we talk about that, health is not just related to your physical health, it's emotional, it's social health also. So that's how we can say. And again, for example, doubts can emerge from again communication barriers, there can be misunderstanding, there can be misinformation, so which can lead to more of anxiety amongst the patients. For example, we that's why I state the important role of the frontline healthcare workers like the ASHA and the Anganwadi workers, or role of telemedicine in terms of curbing those communication barriers. And also doubt can be in terms of reliance on the traditional practices that might lead to some where some amount of skepticism about the modern medicines also amongst specifically the traditional communities. So it showcases again the need towards comprehensive healthcare approach and having healthcare or the universal healthcare. So again, in terms of the progress of India in terms of achieving our NDCs, the nationally determined contributions, and how responsibly we are again on target, particularly in three key pledges, despite all the challenges related to climate finance also, and India being a developing country. So the growth story is not coming at the cost of emissions. First is this. So it showcases sustainable development. Like for every unit of GDP in India, we are producing 33% less emissions than 20 years ago. So these are interesting things that we can pick up from here. Second, in terms of power capacity, more than 50% is now renewable energy or green energy. So, like the energy being generated from the fossil fuels is down to 54% now. Earlier, we can say its share was used to be somewhere 80%. Then third is trees are locking away more of carbon dioxide than ever. So it's related to carbon sequestration. And here we have the trend has been increasing in terms of like since 2005, India has added enough carbon sinks to remove 2 billion tons of emissions. And at the same time, again, developing countries, small island countries are at a higher risk of the impacts from the extreme weathers. So similarly is the case for India also compared to the rich or the developed countries. Now, nourishing our soil. So this showcases role of the use of fertilizers is linked with both the supply side and the behavioral economics. So it's important to de-risk the growth of agriculture sector in case of India. It's important to increase the agriculture productivity, which is again one of the major challenges as far as the structural reforms in agriculture sector is concerned. Even the Fertilizer Association of India states that sustainable use of fertilizers is going to be that determining point or deciding factor to maximize the potential of even, for example, the HYV seeds or even the GM seeds. And this is again directly related to food security, that 95% of our food is coming from soil. So challenges includes import dependency of potash, DAP, and urea. DAP is the diammonium phosphate. Second challenge is excess demand and application of the subsidized fertilizers, because, for example, if we take the case of urea, so 70% of fertilizer subsidy of the government goes for urea through the nutrient-based subsidy. So this has led to imbalance in the macro and the micronutrients availability in the soil. And third challenge is rising prices of the raw material also, for example, natural gas, even when we talk about increasing the domestic production capacity of fertilizers in India, because India is again a net importer of fertilizers. And also fertilizer prices have become more of volatile, specifically after the regional instabilities, for example, in Russia, Ukraine, or even West Asia. So what are the solutions or steps that we can take? First is increasing the self-sufficiency in, if we look at the trend in India, imports has been falling, domestic production has been increasing. So IFCO, which is Indian Farmers Fertilizer Cooperative, states that the production of nano urea, biofertilizers has been increasing. Second is we need to end the urea import by 2025-26. This is the vision or the target that we have. So for this, we are enhancing or increasing the domestic production capacity, for example, opening up of the plants at Gorakhpur in UP and Ramagundam in Telangana. Third reform that is needed is deregulation of the fertilizer prices as recommended by Hanumantarao committee also, so that they become more aligned with the market forces. And again, excess reliance or over reliance upon those fertilizers is also not uh, there in case of farmers. So this is also importantly linked with the crop rotation also. Then fourth is, instead of government providing the subsidies, we can shift to providing digital coupons to the farmers and ensuring that that amount goes directly into their bank accounts with the help of the DBT that we have. And fourth is focusing upon digitization. So digitization of land records in order to know about the crops or the cropping pattern, fertilizer sales, soil health cards, and PM Kisan. These are again the trinity of reforms that we can look forward to.
And one more thing is SOC, that is soil organic compound, needs to be nurtured by the farmers, and it can be also included into the carbon credit system, because the conservation of soil, it is not under the carbon credit system. It is only talking about the overall reforestation, afforestation, and other kind of things.
And also
And more key
soil
SOC.
fertility. is also associated with the different approaches of doing agriculture. For example, promotion of natural farming or zero-based farming or agriculture, zero-based. In case of like budgeting, we talk about, so zero-based natural farming is also being promoted.
And इसमें 2 to 3 centimeter deep. It is a topsoil which takes 1,000 years for nature to create or to make. It was important. 2 to 3 centimeter होता है सिर्फ.
Yeah. Now, when we're talking about disinvestment, so disinvestment in case of like what are the objectives behind the disinvestment policy of the government? One is to again achieve minimum government, maximum governance, because it is often stated that government has no business to stay in business. Second is improve the operational efficiencies of different units or enterprises. Third is asset monetization. So for asset monetization, government is focusing upon getting the PSCs or PSUs listed in the capital market through IPOs. Second is through privatization of the non-strategic sectors. For example, in case of civil aviation, recent example was Air India. Third is minority stake sale for again less than 50%. So maintaining the control. Now, in case of the institutions that we have who are dealing with disinvestment is the DPAM, which looks into coordination and overseeing of this entire process. Niti Aayog identifies which units can be disinvested and we can go forward with. Third is Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, which finally gives the approval. So in this case, we often, face the dilemma that whether we should disinvest the profitable units or the loss making units, because in case of profitable we see that it is being preferred to again plug the fiscal deficit or go ahead with fiscal consolidation, and in terms of loss making it is stated that this leads to less raising of the finances because they are already into losses. So should we wait for them to again turn profitable and then we should go ahead with that? And also if the profitable ones are doing good, then why to disinvest them? And also another concern is related to the job security, because again then we say that certain mergers or amalgamations are done. For example, to deal with this challenge of job security, the government uh, in a way indirectly it is using the public sector units only to go ahead with disinvestment. For example, LIC is buying major of these the stakes only. So apart from this, right timing and valuation is a question, that how do we decide that what is the right time to go ahead with, and the regulatory hurdle is another challenge. So again we need a holistic strategy. So other examples of recent disinvestments being done by the, like for example, IDBI Bank strategic sale. So strategic disinvestment is when the government gives up the control of the particular enterprise and it has less than 50% of stake is there. Now in this case we see high deflator. In this case, we see like the recent growth shocker. So two factors were identified that it is because of firstly the low government spending, in particularly the capital expenditure and the lackluster manufacturing activities that is responsible for this GDP shock. Now, of late, we see high GDP deflator is also one of the major factors behind this. Now, how does it works is the question. So the statistical effect of high GDP deflator. So we see that during the last financial year, its value was less and it was like close to 2. Exactly, the statistic states that it was 2 and now its value has increased to 2.25. So high GDP deflator showcases that inflation has increased. So the increase in the real GDP has declined. So that is why it is coming at as a like a shock. So we need to again the economic growth going forward is dependent upon a lot of factors: food grain production, agriculture sector, employment being created, then sustained buoyancy in the services sector, also private consumption, private investment. So all of these are high frequency indicators which determines in a collective way the trajectory of growth. So again, certain important facts as far as FDI is concerned in case of India. One challenge that we talked about, FDI turning out to be volatile. So here we see like FDI is again considered, an investment is considered an FDI when it is more than 10%. And in case of life, it can be in equity, it can be reinvested earnings, it can be again other forms of capital. So major countries from which we see FDI inflows includes Mauritius, Singapore, and US. So 25% share is from Mauritius and 24 from Singapore. Sectors attracting maximum FDI: services sector, computer, software, and hardware. So in this case, we can just say that how we can ensure that it is realigning, the trend of FDI realigns with India's growth targets. For example, if we are talking about expansion of the manufacturing and industries, so again, ease of doing business is majorly going to decide. And the states who are majorly attracting maximum FDI is Maharashtra, Karnataka, Gujarat, majorly. So 31% of the total FDI goes into Maharashtra. So again, the challenge emerges, regional inequality in terms of the growth that we have. So that is why these states, again, somewhere we see that even the migrants are going to these states in major numbers. Now, Bima Sakhi Yojana has been launched by the government. So we talk about business Sakhis. Now we are seeing Bima Sakhi. So Bima is insurance sector. So in this case, it has been launched by Ministry of Women and Child Development. So it is, again, we are focusing upon the empowerment of particularly rural women. So these are different ways of, again, a citizen-centric approach, good governance approach, awareing the citizens and increasing their participation in the labor force at the same time. So it is aimed at promoting financial inclusion, also enhancing access to insurance at the same time, and also empowerment of women. So it will empower women by like providing opportunities to become the agents of change in the communities through their involvement in the insurance sector. So apart from this, we see that even like Asha and Anganwadi workers, they are also majorly is like women. So it in a way promises secured growth and a risk averse growth when it comes to uplifting the rural sector growth. And
Because the insurance density in India penetration is only 3.2%.
so it will lead to increasing the penetration of insurance also. Realizing our vision of insurance for all, as stated by again Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India. So reskilling the senior citizens, as we talk about, they are again the golden demography or they are the silver dividend. So how they are being reskilled, there are three examples here. So for example, their skills are also being aligned with the skills in demand for example, the Industrial Revolution 4.0, like in terms of web designing, cybersecurity, Kisan drone operations. So they are becoming popular. So lifelong learning is essential. As we say that a person learns through entire life. So that same thing is being implemented under the Skill India Digital Hub mission under the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. And examples, for example, again, this would also cater to increasing the participation in the gig economy. So Kisan drone operations courses, they are being taken up. So this will also help in boosting their income also. They'll become more aware when it comes to, again, skills related to cloud generative AI course based courses and the vital resources for the senior citizens, again, for example, in terms of digital awareness also, so that again they are a better identifier of the financial fraud that might happen with them at the same time. And also they are catering to the social equality or social justice aspect in terms of ensuring those skills that they are learning, they are being again filtered down to the the students from the underserved areas also. So that's how again comprehensive role and multidimensional role our silver dividend can also play. So that's all for the day. Thank you so much for joining us on Ansarkari. Stay tuned for further detailed discussions and sessions.